Hi, this video is going to review with you how to brief a case that you find on Westlaw. And the first thing I want to show you is how to get the case itself on the screen fully. You see there's a blue section here with the result list, and there's an actual text there. Let's just move this over so that we have a full screen of just the opinion. And at the top, we scrolled all the way to the top, you're going to find again the citation 40F 3rd 1096, and you'll also find it over here to the left hand side. If you wanted to know who the judges and attorneys are, you can click on that there, but you don't need to. Here's the title of the case from the U.S. Court of Appeals 10th Circuit, In Re Grand Jury Subpoenas dated December 7th and 8th, blah blah blah, v versus USA. Date is November 21st, 1994. So there's the information you need to describe the title of the case. Right beneath it is a summary of the case. Now, the summary does not tell you every issue, and it doesn't even come close to telling you the facts. It is just that, a summary, as well as what this court did. It affirmed the lower court decision. Just beneath that are what you will see are West headnotes. Now, these are extremely important. This is how you're going to find what is relevant and important for you to work with and what is not. So let's scroll down and you'll see numbered headnotes. 1, 2, 3. These are all called headnotes. And every single legal term that is of relevance in this case has its own headnote or key number. They're also called keys. The headnotes are in the same order as the issues are presented in the case. So headnote 1 obviously is going to be the first issue the court dealt with, and then it's going to go through however many issues the court addressed. Now, you need to read the terms that are next to each of these keys. And here's why. The editors of this case at Westlaw have figured out for you what each part of the case is about. And this is important because you're going to be asked throughout this class to identify only specific issues within the case, not every issue. And if there's, let's say, 8 or 10 headnotes in a case, as there often are, you're going to read just those headnotes to look for those key words that deal with the issue you're being asked to address in this week's module. And it's that issue you're going to write about in your case brief. None of the other headnotes will have those issues, potentially, and you're not going to write about them. Sometimes there's only going to be one headnote addressing the issue, but sometimes there are going to be several. So, for example, if you're asked to brief a case in a chapter that's covering compelled testimony, you need to look for the headnotes in the case that only address compelled testimony. Let's look at some of the words here. Criminal law, trial, preliminary proceedings, discovery, disclosure. None of that really sounds like it has anything to do with compelled testimony. So you'll go down to the second one, and the second headnote also has some terms, but none of them say anything about compelled testimony. Nor does the third, or the fourth, or even the fifth. You'll learn to scan these pretty quickly for relevant terms. Sixth, however, compelling self-incrimination. Well, if you compel someone to take the stand, they may indeed say something that incriminates themselves. So compelling self-incrimination, any headnote that has that term, that's something you want to read. So write down somewhere on a piece of paper, number 6 is important. And let's see, oh, there it is in number 7 and 8. It's not in 9. But it is in 10, compelling self-incrimination, and even in 11. And that's it. There are only 11 headnotes. So 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 are the headnotes that we want to take a look at. And if you scroll back up and go to number 6, and you click on that number 6, don't click on the words key citing references for this headnote. Click on the actual number 6, and it's going to take you to the part of the opinion where you're going to find information about compelled testimony. And this is what you want to read primarily. And it's going to tell you what this court talked about and possibly what it held with respect to compelled testimony. And you'll read that until you get to the next headnote. And if number 7 also had to do with compelled testimony, you want to read that as well. So 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 are all the parts of the case that you want to scroll down to and read those headnotes to figure out what the case, what the court was deciding with respect to compelled testimony in this case. Now, there are 8 items in every case brief, and you need to discuss all of them. The first thing that has to be in the case brief is the title and the citation of the case. So if you scroll up to the top of the case again, you can find the title there. It's going to be X versus Y, whatever that is, and the citation, which is also at the top center and also on the far left. So there's number 1 down. The second thing is the type of action. Well, you need to ask yourself, is this a civil suit or a criminal action? What is going on here? What type of action is this? And if it's a civil suit, what's being asked for? Is this a suit for money damages for violating a free speech right? If it's a criminal case, is it alleging improper issuance of a search warrant? What is it? Don't just say criminal or civil suit. Explain what is being sought as well in this type of action. So that's the second thing that needs to be in the brief. The third thing are the facts of the case. So if you scroll beyond the West headnotes that are found right underneath this summary, scroll through the headnotes and you will find background or facts. Every court puts a little different title on it. And you'll also know that it's the correct area because you'll start to see a chronology of events that happened. So those are the facts. And the facts are going to stop when you see the first headnote. I want you to concisely discuss the relevant facts. Tell us what happened in concise terms. This should not be 3, 4, 5 paragraphs long. You should be able to do it in 1 paragraph, maybe 2 if it's complicated, but be very concise and explain why is this matter in the court. The fourth part of a brief are the contentions of the party, the best arguments that favor each party, but only on the issue that we are studying in the module. So again, if we're looking at only, let's say, headnote 6, go back down to that. In headnote 6, somewhere in there, you're going to be able to figure out what each side is arguing about. Tell the reader what each party is claiming. Which also leads you to the fifth part of your brief, which are the issues that are being decided. Again, only identify the issue or the issues that are relevant to the subject that we're studying in this module this week. You also, for the sixth part, need to put in your brief the decision. How did the court rule on the particular issue? Now, if there are 5 headnotes, there may very well be 5 issues, but in all likelihood, there's only 1 or 2 issues. There just happen to be multiple points to be made about each of them. But however many issues there are, that's how many points of law are being decided. And of course that leads to the sixth part of your brief. What decision or decisions were made? How did the court rule on just that particular issue that we are examining in this module? The seventh of 8 parts to be in your brief is the reasoning. You need to explain why the court ruled the way it did, and this is the most important part of the case. If you want to know where the court's reasoning is to be found, you need to look in the actual written opinion. And that's going to be under each of the headnotes. So you'll probably have to summarize all 5 of the headnotes in this case to figure out the reasoning of why the court ruled the way that it did. And finally, what rule of law do we take away? What one legal point do we take away from this case? That's for you to decide. It should be fairly clear once you understand the reasoning of the case, but in 1, maybe 2 sentences at the most, conclude your brief with the rule of law in this case is, and then explain it. That's what goes into a brief.